It is No Gifts Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. I'm Steve Noviello.
And I'm Jenny Anchondo.
Dancing.
And I don't take that personally. I don't. It's true. No gifts. It's just the perfect title for what we're doing here.
Well, you know, we talk about that, and it's actually part of our topic today, this idea that there is no handbook, there is no natural gift, there's none of those things, but what a fun ride it's been.
It certainly has been.
Yeah.
Now, listen, thank you to everybody who has left just positive feedback and kind reviews about the show.
You obviously have not read all of them.
I've not read all of them. I understand there's some beef out there.
So this one, so you remember we're doing a recent episode, we were talking about kind of social media, and like my thing is show the world who you are, go right ahead, comment, say, do, and generally that those come from like the people with the unidentifiable profile pictures.
Sure.
So one woman who I won't mention, whose profile picture exists, it's a flower.
Okay. Well, sometimes there's a particular
it's
animal.
Not a nice flower, right?
Right.
Yes, that can get a little.
Animal.
Yeah,
it's
right.
the one.
Yeah, that you would think, but yeah. Hey, we're so excited. Here we are, and her comment was, I really don't like Jenny. I didn't like her when she was with you on TV, so I'm not listening to your podcast. Sorry, not sorry. I actually don't listen to any podcasts. So
okay, well, so you wouldn't have gained a listener had I decided to let that just eliminate me from the show, right?
Exactly. I do want to share an anecdote about our home, which will kind of get us into today's topic. So Jacob is super into. I follow on Instagram. One of the many people that I follow is this like kind of kids creation like craft thing. So he loves it. It's like all origami and like you folding paper, and he's super into paper airplanes and those little fortune tellers like they used to make. So I was like,
they tell what your life story is going to be.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's go to Michael's and we'll get some legit craft paper and let's pick out a couple of things. So we did this one. And it was a bracelet, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is. It was like this very intricately folded, and we're doing it. It's got this like chevron pattern from how. I was impressed.
By yourself?
No, with him.
With him.
Yeah,
okay.
He was doing it. And then it came time to like connect the two ends of it. You have to tuck one into the other, and he put it on, and it would keep on popping open.
Okay, yes.
And I was like, buddy, and he was getting really frustrated. And I was like, buddy, what? He's like, it's not right. It's not right, Daddy. I said, buddy, it's okay. I said, why don't we just put a piece of tape on it? And he was like, oh, no, that says you can't use tape. It's supposed to only fold stuff. I said, I know, but it's okay. Like for us, we put a little tape or glue or,
innovate.
He said, but Daddy, then it won't be right. I said, but it doesn't have to be right, Jacob. But it'll work better. You won't be so frustrated. He said, it won't be perfect. And I was like,
the P word.
Oh no. Just hold up.
Does he lean into perfectionism like that?
I don't know where he gets that from.
I wasn't pointing fingers.
Right. Well, or holding up mirrors. But what I said to him was, buddy, you have to understand that the people in that video made this bracelet 100 times before they shot that video and put it on the internet. We did it once, and I think we did a really good job.
He saw the finished product, the finished package, just like the news story that we've created all these times over the years.
Like so many of us see and show on social media, which brings us to today's guest. Do you want to introduce her?
Oh my gosh. We are very excited about this. Have you guys heard of the social media platform for kids, Zigazoo?
I hadn't heard about it. And I will say my first reaction was like, social media for children, what a terrible idea.
Well, let's find out what Leah has to say. Leah Ringelstein has more than a decade of experience in the education field. She has been all over the place with Teach for America. She is a mother of 3 children, 1 dog. One of them is playing piano as we speak. Actually has her Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. So I think that's an interesting, as I'm looking at her bio, that's the part that I pull out as like, okay, this is particularly important with her role with a social media platform for kids. Leah, good to see you.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me on.
So I have to give you some props because clearly this is working. How many users do you guys have on Zigazoo?
We have 5 million downloads and counting. So the kids are coming to play.
So we're out of the loop by having not known.
5 million. That's like legit. So talk to me kind of about what the premise here is, because do you get that reaction from people a lot that are like, seriously, I'm trying to keep my kids away from social media and here you are building a platform for them?
Yeah. So My husband and I started this platform. We're both educators. So really, this is a place where kids can connect with one another and play by creating videos. Like, we really thought about that very thing. We thought, if the future is digital, if kids need to learn these skills, if kids want to be in these spaces, how can we make it a place that we're comfortable letting our kids play?
As opposed to just putting it out there.
Align with a lot. Yeah, we align with a lot of that critical thinking, and that's why we're like, we have to make a better place because kids want to be there. So how do we make it right for them?
Well, I think the first question that a lot of people are going to have is, okay, who's allowed? What are kind of the, for lack of a better term, policing mechanisms in place to make sure that this is a safe place for kids?
Yeah. So I think about safety in two ways. One is just the logistics, right? Like, who's on there? How do we verify? So every user is verified. Kids go through a process where they verify with a parent. The platform is 13 and under. We have opened an older platform for kids because we have Zigazooers that want to keep growing in the positive vibe and in the non-toxic environment. So we have 2 spaces for them, but for the 13 and under, they're verified with a parent. All content is human moderated. So somebody is watching this, and they're watching it not just to make sure that there are no bots, that there are no inappropriate participants, but also that everything has a positive sentiment and it's appropriate for kids. So I think about emotional safety. Are they going to feel confident? Are they going to see things that are appropriate for them developmentally? We're screening for all these things to help guide them to be in a safe and nurturing environment the whole time.
So you say non-toxic environment. Me, as the victim of that woman's comment from earlier today on social media. Yeah, but I mean, so I'm an adult woman who's been doing broadcasting for some 20 years. I've had lots of critiques since way before social media came about, right? So the skin is very, very thick at this point. I just wonder how you foster a non-toxic environment with littles. You said 13 and younger. Is there a lower limit?
That's up to a parent's discretion, but really 9 to 12 are the kids. The bulk of our participants are age 9 to 12.
And so how do you make it non-toxic?
Yeah, so it's a couple things. One is it's created with our educational background in mind, using the tenets of project-based learning. So we're not just like, here's a screen, go for it. We structured it based on challenges. So we'll have like media partners. We have like the NBA. We have celebrity readers. We have other kid leaders who pose a challenge to kids, like, how long can you stand on one foot? Or what's your favorite book? Or can you sing your favorite song? So that's the first thing, is we give them something to play with instead of just like an open-ended prompt. And that lets them bond around common interests and kind of directs their creativity. But then secondly, in addition to everything being vetted, so if you're going to go off and do something negative or hurtful, your video is not going to make it to the feed. But our feedback tools are carefully crafted. So you can give gifts, you can give stickers, you have like guardrails on the way that you can support one another, and we weed out anything that is not supportive or positive. So we're kind of like,
there's no like
leave practice the good stuff,
right? There's no like leave a comment situation. It's like literally like, here's a star because I love your video. Or, I mean, there's not that, because honestly, the most toxic parts of kind of adult social media, we'll call it, is the just word vomit that people seem to think is appropriate when, judging, the others on there. There's really not that opportunity at all on here.
Yeah. So just like in setting the tone for a classroom or a family, it's like we're giving them opportunities to practice. This is how you support someone. This is how you make someone else feel good. This is how you share your best side. And our idea is that if they have these guardrails and training wheels in Zigazoo and they recognize how great that feels, maybe they can grow up to be grown-ups when they have it all at their fingertips, who don't do what that person did to you,
Okay, I like that kind of training. We did not get that, right? Like nobody in our generation got that. We just sort of got the, please and thank you. And in the South, people are saying ma'am, but that's, that's sort of the extent of it. So I'm thinking about the stickers, and I'm kind of going through this in my mind thinking, and look, this can happen in real life, but we've seen a number of really successful, I'm talking about monetarily successful, like this became their job, social media influencers step aside because they got so caught up in the, I'm not getting enough likes, enough views, enough comments, not even that their revenue's going down, but just like their soul felt low because they weren't getting the feedback. And I guess I'm thinking about the kids that aren't getting any stickers. I'm thinking about the kids that post something out there, they put it out there for the world, and they're not getting anything back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so some of that is about dealing with that is a very like nuanced problem, and some of it we do algorithmically because on your social media also there's like a computer that's serving you the most popular stuff. It's making the big stuff get bigger. So we have ethical algorithms that recognize like every kid needs to be seen because you're right, silence is a thumbs down, right?
Yeah.
Even if no one can give a thumbs down. So we're making sure that every kid is seen and every kid has an opportunity to make friendships and relationships. So just like on the playground, everybody has somebody to play with. That's a responsibility that we have to help uphold. And then secondly, it's about setting a tone. So we have kids who are role models and leaders in the community trying to set that tone of like, here's how you encourage and shout out one another. And so some of it is about giving the responsibility to the humans in the community, and some of it is setting the design so that everybody feels seen.
Okay, I'm going to get a little critical here because I have to say I was watching some of the videos and one of the girls, and I do love like the kid ambassadors and the creators and whatnot, but I saw something that kind of hurt my heart a little bit, and it was one of the kids, and she was maybe 9 or 10 or however old she was, and she said, this is a great place to grow your fan base. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't want my 10-year-old to be worried about their fan base. What do you say to parents who are like, you know what, I'm out?
Yeah, we do a lot of parent education, and it's interesting because there are families with different goals out there. I've learned that because my kids downstairs, they're just jumping on trampolines and chasing their puppy, and they're living a very like physical in the real world life. And I guide them to enjoy Zigazoo as a place where they can like share their talents or try a new thing or see someone who's different from them. And so our family cultivates those values, and a lot of families do, and you can navigate this space in that way. And then there are also families who are looking for an opportunity to build this other identity. The kids want to play what they see the adults playing. And the theory is that we give them a place where they're safe to do that. And that's a game they want to play. They want to play, I'm performing in a certain way. And that's a part of our world and our society. And so we're trying to hold space for both values, and it's really up to the families and the kids kind of what adventure they want to choose. And there's a space for both of those.
Yeah, I love the idea of being able to create, just use the sort of formulations and have them come up with an idea or have a challenge posed to them and they can try it. Is there a way, I hear that, and I think my daughter would love this. She would like eat that up. She's not, we're like a no screen time kind of family unless it's a movie together, but she's creative. Is there a way to participate without posting it publicly? Like just within your family, like, hey, look, mom and dad, look what I created here online. Or does it have to be posted for other members to see?
Oh, and does everybody on the platform get access to everybody? That's a good question.
Yeah. So we have different levels of verification. So in that onboarding process, you can choose if you want to have your videos like shared in certain ways. You can kind of set your privacy, and my own children have their own feed where they see all their videos like from their for years. They've been growing up doing all these amazing things. So it's not just like a photo stream, it's an active, interactive, hands-on, minds-on journey of like magical things that they've done. And that's something that we enjoy just privately, personally for our family. And then they've also, been able to share them with other kids that they know by name now that they've done these challenges and these things with. So you can kind of once again, choose your own adventure and set your guardrails, because we recognize people have different objectives with how and why they want their children in these spaces.
Because isn't it true that some people want to use their children, or not use is the wrong word. Let me take that back. Some people see a skill in their child, a talent, a charisma, a je ne sais quoi.
Right.
And they think, little Jane is a YouTube star.
Yeah.
And I want her to cultivate that craft. And this is a platform to do that. Are you seeing families like that drawn toward your platform?
Yeah, 100%. Kids are actors and actresses. They're singers, they're performers and songwriters. They're really professionalizing some of their performance skills. And the goal is that we have kids that have been on television shows. They're little celebrities. And then we have kids who are just like in their living room playing with their cars, and they can both do the same challenge and enjoy being kids in the same space.
Okay, so you mentioned brand partnerships. So let's talk about kind of brand marketing. There's a lot of data that is collected here about these kids. How is that shared with third parties? How is that? I'm assuming there's got to be some sort of algorithm that matches up some of these brand partners to specific children to market to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the brands have we have a very sensitive process that they have to go through because they're inviting kids to kind of engage with their content. We aren't allowing them to run an ad directly in the traditional sense. It's more an invitational, like here's a good example is like, here's this like bubble fish toy in water. What's a toy you have that you can put in water? So once again, they're like kind of activating a kid's experience with something that they can relate to that has to do with their brand. So the kid is getting exposure, but it's not a go buy this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so we have a whole process where brands can gain exposure and have kids develop affinity and see what they have created, but they have to do something. They have to make a personal connection and relationship through play.
Is it noted on the app, for example, on Instagram, hashtag ad, or, there has to be some sort of denotation? Would a parent know if they were watching, or a child that's, of reading age know someone paid to be a part of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, each channel has its own like homepage where you can recognize kind of where it came from. Like the Paw Patrol, their new movie is out. So now they're doing like a little Paw Patrol challenge, but it's not just like, dun, dun, see Paw Patrol. It's like Paw Patrol character and the kids are all playing along. You know what I mean? It's like kind of engaging in a conversation. And then, of course, the like legal terminology and all that is kind of worked into what they have to provide.
Are there options for time limits here or any that you guys impose? Because I know that for us, when we do screen time in our house, there's, either Alexa tells them when it time's up, or we have safeguards on their Nintendo Switch, or whatever the case is. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, we don't have that built in directly. Everything is kind of every piece of content is very brief, and each kind of channel that you can follow is short form. Families provide those guidelines, and we do a lot of parent and family education around options for add-ons and things like that you can do to manage your kids' screen time. But something I do love about Zigazoo, because I do the same thing, it's all timers with mommy if you're going to be using any screens, is that they're very rarely sitting when they're using Zigazoo. They're singing, they're dancing, they're talking, they're acting, they're going and gathering things and putting them on their head and building something. So I see a very active participation process, and then I provide the time limits that follow my household rules.
I'm picturing like the 3-year-old doing one thing, your 5-year-old doing one thing, your 7-year-old doing one thing, all over the house with different parts of the app. I'm curious, is there an option? I think that for adults, adults that know the ramifications, even if just on the lines on their neck of scrolling all day long, like we're still doing it. Is there an option that would be not interactive on your app, that would just be like more of a scroll and sort of digest other people's content, or is everybody that's on there participating?
That's a great question. What we see behaviorally in our analysis of numbers is that kids are mostly participating. You can watch if you want to stand by and watch. That is a process, but you don't get very far. Like there's a gamification process for interactivity. You can do more, and you receive Zigabucks and things like that, which you can use to give stickers. There's like whole gamification that encourages engagement. So yes, watching is possible, but it's not chosen. It's not typically
for sure.
chosen.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's. I have to say, it's an interesting concept. The idea of training an entire generation of people to use social media in a positive way could possibly result in a new generation of people as adults being kind to each other on the internet.
It can't get worse than our generation.
Could you imagine such a thing? As you mentioned, the premise for this really being the internet was unleashed on the world. Yeah. Social media was just kind of thrown, at us with no real traffic lights, no stop signs, no nothing, and no training certainly at all for children. Hey, let people know where they can find you as we run out of time here.
We're in the App Store, and we're also at Zigazoo Kids, and you can just find our website and learn more about us and read our story. And you can also just download us on the App Store.
5 million users. Congratulations. And I do want to also mention that your app is KidSafe certified, which of course is a rigorous process for folks. Mm-hmm. Check it out.
Leah, thank you. I'm only sad that we didn't get to hear the piano from your child that was playing in the other room. But look, you've got your kids all figured
Maybe
out.
we'll see it in a challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank
He
so
likes
much,
to
Leah.
share. He likes to share. Thank
was
you,
awesome.
guys. It was
Thank
great
you.
to talk to you.
All right. As
Bye.
always, we want to thank you for tuning in this week. Remember, new episodes every Tuesday morning. Be sure to click that subscribe button. And most of all, go ahead and find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you next time.